is Everyday Expertise, and I'm Angela, and I'm here today with Stephen Voyce. This multi-talented man is a singer, songwriter, producer, actor, filmmaker, and influencer.
You can add a snake charmer.
And snake charmer.
You want to add a snake charmer?
Definitely.
No, I'm not a snake charmer. I'm not a snake charmer.
But he could be if you wanted.
I could be if I wanted to.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how did you get started as a musician?
Whew, man, that's a start with a loaded question. I started as a musician. Honestly, I feel like I've always been a musician.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up listening to Michael Jackson because of my mom. So my household was Michael Jackson. So all I heard was his music, and I remember always being kind of drawn to the way he wrote and the way he sang and the way he could just kind of move people with emotion that he was conveying through his music. And ever since then, I just knew that that's something I wanted to do. I didn't know that it was something I was gonna eventually do professionally. I just knew it was something that was part of me. But I only really became, I guess, a professional musician after my mom passed away back in 2010. That's when I needed an outlet to kind of let go of everything that I was feeling, and music was the only way that I can do that. And that's when I started, properly recording and putting out music, and it caught on with people, and people kind of felt what I was feeling. And something that I didn't expect was that people would relate to what I was saying and would help them. So yeah, so honestly, it's weird to say, but it's tragedy and to lost my mom that really pushed me to take this gift that I have and really do something with it.
Well, I don't think that's really weird. I mean,
No.
A lot of art comes out of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So acting.
Yes.
How did you get started with that and making your own content?
The content, yeah. So I started doing little skits about, I say, 3 years ago on Instagram. I started on Vine, little funny little videos. I did that just because I thought it was funny. I like to play dual characters, and I started doing that. And my friends, they told me, you're really good at this as well. You should probably try and take it seriously. And for a full year, I just ignored them. I just said, no, I'm just doing this because it's fun. I don't really want to pursue this. But the more you hear it, the more you realize, maybe if everyone's saying something, there might be a truth to it. So one day I put together a demo reel, and I sent it off to a few agents, and they reached back, and I met with one of them called Glenn Talent. Met them, loved them, and signed on with them, and ever since then it's been go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What would you say are your major influences besides Michael Jackson?
Yes, well, Michael Jackson.
How do you feel about Michael Jackson now?
It's hard. It's hard because you don't. It's weird. It's gray territory because you don't know what's real and what's not. Because even when I was a kid, there were allegations against Michael.
Yeah.
And then they got dismissed, if I'm not mistaken. But you never really know what's true and what's not. And then now that he's passed, again, there were new allegations that surfaced. So it's, on one end, I mean, if what the people are saying is true, that's obviously horrible, and if people are just saying that to gain, I guess, momentum or celebrity, whatever the case is they're trying to gain, and that's obviously horrible as well. But with that, I can't take away from the fact that Michael Jackson's music influenced me. I remember a lot of people actually bring that up, and they say, like, because I still include in my bio, and they go, well, aren't you worried that people might take it the wrong way? And I can't take away from the fact that his music influenced me.
Right.
If I was to take that aspect of my life and delete it, it would be a lie, and a big chunk of who I am wouldn't exist anymore. So I can't dismiss that. So how do I feel about it? Again, like I said, if it's true, horrible, but I cannot take away from the fact that Michael's music is a part of me. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, other influences?
Other influences. As crazy as, well, obviously Prince. Prince is a big influence. As crazy as this sounds, because our music you would think is very different. Eminem actually is a big influence. I just love the way Eminem pours who he is in the current moment into his music. I feel like every single album has been a reflection of where he was in his life at the time when he was recording it. So I feel like as listeners, you always felt like you've been part of his life. And that's one thing that I took from him in the way I put out music, is that my music is very reflective of who I am in the time that I'm recording it. I always put myself into the music. So if I'm in a bad place, you're gonna know. If I'm in a good place, you're gonna know. But life is about ups and downs, and I think that it's important for art to reflect that. Because I think there's nothing wrong with just always putting out a certain type of music. But I feel like if you want people to really connect with you on an artistic level, then showing them who you are in all facets, whether it's the ugly, the good, whatever you want to call it, really goes a long way in doing that.
That makes sense. So I find a lot of your work involves collaboration.
Yes.
What about collaborating is important to you or appeals to you as an artist?
Oof, so much, so much. I feel like whenever I'm recording my own music, everything that I've learned up until that point, I'm able to play around with. I'm able to discover new things as I'm working. But then when you collaborate with someone, there's something that you can't do on your own that kind of comes out of that, and there's that certain magic that is born from that moment that is so unique, and I love that feeling. It's nothing when you, because I mean, when I invite artists to come over and we record songs, I go to their studios. First of all, if I go to their studio, it's a different environment. Already right there, I'm out of my element. So it forces me to learn new things or adapt to the way they're working, and they also have to adapt to the way I work. So there's a symbiosis that's born. But at the same time, when I leave that collaboration, I've learned something, more things. And when I come back, I have more tools under my belt, and suddenly my music grows because I collaborated. So I think it's really important for people in general. I don't care what walk of life, what industry you're in. Collaboration, collaborate, people. We don't always have to compete with one another. Sometimes collaborating is the key.
It's true.
Yeah.
So you have a new song coming soon.
Yes.
Love in Montreal
Love
City.
in Montreal City. I don't know why I went British, but I did.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes. Love in Montreal City is a song. Last year, actually, one day I was just walking, and the idea hit me. I said, "Yeah, I want to do a song, kind of like the idea was very similar to We Are the World, in terms of trying to get a bunch of Montreal artists on a song to create a song. But I didn't want to do a song about like the world, even though I'm working on that. That's a different story. But I didn't want to do a song like that. I wanted to do a song that's kind of an ode to Montreal with Montreal artists. So the initial plan was to get like a bunch of Montreal artists all sing pieces of the song. But that was hard to accomplish given schedules. So that didn't end up happening. What ended up happening is I ended up working with the artists that could make it. I couldn't do what I wanted to do initially, so what I did is I recorded the whole song myself, and I got them to come in at the end of the song and a piece of the song, kind of amplify it. But yeah, that was honestly, it was a lot of fun. And I just want to give back to the city that I feel created the person that I am today from a musical perspective, because my musical professional career was born here. And there's something about the very multiculturalness of Montreal. It's not a word. There's something about that I feel really helped me become the artist that I am. And I just wanted to give back, and yeah, so Love in Montreal City is the first single that I'm putting out in 2020. I'm really excited about that one. And yeah, it comes out soon, very, very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Is it gonna be like a love song?
It's not. It's not like.
Is it just about love?
It's not even.
All love.
It's not even about. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not. It's not. It's not like a song like I love a certain person, or I love Montreal. It's kind of a feeling. Really, it's one of those songs where it's want to ask me what's it about. I'll just say it's a feeling.
Yeah.
You're gonna listen to it and feel something, and that's it. I wasn't trying to tell a story in this song. I just wanted people to feel a connection. I guess that kind of connection that I have to the city. But yeah, I think it's honestly one of those fun, light songs that people are gonna, at the end of the song, are gonna feel like, yeah, I feel good. I feel really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this show's very much about process.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through your process? We can talk about writing music. We can talk about writing film.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have like a different sort of process when you're writing music as opposed to writing a movie, or there's similar sort of aspects?
I've learned very quickly that, because initially when I was trying to start movies, and I was trying to write movies or scripts, I was in my head trying to go, okay, I'm trying to write different characters. And that was the process when I was trying to write different characters and see where it goes. But then I realized very quickly that everything I was writing, all the characters were technically little pieces of me. And the same thing as in music. Whatever I'm doing in music, it's always me. Whether I'm singing with my falsetto, I'm singing with my regular range, or whatever, it's all still me. And the same thing applies to acting. Whenever I'm writing something, it's still me, right? So all the different characters are little mini crazy versions of Stephen running around. And the second I did that, the writing process just took over on its own. Like when I sit down and I start writing a script, all I have to do is come up with a scenario and have the first character say the first word, and the rest of the characters take over, because they're just different parts of me that would react to a scenario differently. So if it's the more, I don't know, a part of me that's more open, then that part of me will respond a certain way. If there's a part of me that's more like, no, this is my way, that's at the end of the day, then he's going to respond a certain way. So it's really cool to do that. And it also, I think, kind of shows my madness a little bit, because there's a lot of people running around in my head apparently, and they all want.
All writers are like that.
They're all crazy, and they're all just.
Writing is just about letting the voices out of your head.
Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it? It's just letting it go, and accept that we're a little bit insane, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so yeah, when I'm writing music, it always comes from a place like a need to put something out. I stopped because I used to go into the studio and just create for the sake of creating. Now I only create when it needs to be created. Like something just tells me you need to go in right now because this needs to come out, and that's what happens. And it's almost the same thing with writing. I don't like writing if there's no need to write. I like to sit down and write because there's a need. Something has to come out, and when I do that, it just feels more organic. So yeah.
That's cool. How many drafts do you go through typically on a film?
On a film, oh man, drafts. I don't think I go through drafts, because by the time I even sit down, the scenario has written itself in my head. Because I said I only write when there's a need to write, and by the time I sit down, it's all happening already. I might go back and just maybe tweak a word or two or something like that, or maybe just, if I'm having other actors play certain characters, I'll maybe listen to the way they talk and tweak the words to fit better with their vocabulary.
Yeah.
But I don't have drafts in the sense of rewriting stories, because like I said, by the time I get to it, it needed to happen.
You've probably already done a few in your head.
It's happened. Yeah. It's happened. So like even like so the little skits I do on Instagram called Me, Myself, and Steve, where I play a Canadian Stephen, a British Stephen, and a Nigerian Stephen. Again, it's the same thing. When I sit down and I write those, I don't even sit down. I'm walking and I'm on my phone and I write it, and it just writes itself. And within the span of 50 seconds, I have the whole episode written. And again, because it needed to happen, and it happened.
That's cool.
Thank you.
All right. What is something you wish you'd known about making art before you began? What would you go back and tell younger Stephen?
I don't know.
About art.
I don't know if I tell him anything. It's like I feel like it's one of those things. Okay, I'll put it this way.
Anything surprise you about making music, about making film?
I think you're always surprised by what can happen in the moment that you didn't expect to happen. For example, when we were filming our last movie, it's a horror film. We filmed it in Sutton, Quebec. Everything that needed to go wrong went wrong. Everything, from on that particular day, the second day of shooting, we lost power in Quebec. Period. What are the chances?
Why not? Right?
We lost power in Quebec, so I had to deal with that.
That happens way too often now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a nightmare. Yeah, we lost power, and we had to kind of make do and figure things out. And I think that's the thing. It's so spontaneous, and you never really know what to expect. And I think that's it. I think you just always expect the unexpected, and always be prepared to have to kind of make do with changes, because you might have an idea as to what you want to have accomplished, and even if you'll accomplish that in the end, the road you thought you'd take to get there will be drastically different. It's the same with like I said, the Montreal song. I had an idea. I wanted to get all these different artists, and I realized that it's just not feasible with schedule, but I could still make it happen differently. So I still end up at the same goal, but the way I got there was different. You just have to be okay with that, and not, I guess it's hard to say, but you can't hold on too much to your initial structured plan, because if you do that, you're too rigid. And if you're too rigid, you can't maneuver yourself. You have to be open to maneuvering. Yeah. But if I was to go back in time, I don't think I would tell young Steve that I think he'd need to still
figure
go through
that out on his own.
Still go through it. Because like I have a lot of younger artists now that come up, and they always ask me questions like how do you do this and how do you do that, and I always kind of tell them my story, but I don't try to give them a given path, because I don't want to give them a given path. I want them to figure it out on their own, because I think that's where the magic really happens. It's the self-discovery. If you lay out a plan for someone, then you're not really teaching them anything. You're just giving them a blueprint.
It's true.
Yeah.
How do you integrate your creative work into your daily life?
Well, since I'm always me, I don't think.
Are you doing this professionally? is your day job and your night job kind of thing?
It's technically is because I mean there are many aspects of this crazy person because I actually graduated in electrical engineering from McGill University. Excuse me. Yeah.
Well,
So
that'll be very useful when you're actually filming something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When wiring and things go wrong, I go like I know what to do. But yeah, so I graduated in that. I actually also work in software, but because before there was a point in time where I would segment my life.
Yeah.
I would just say this is Stephen here, this is this Stephen, and that's that Stephen. So there's the software Stephen, there's the music Stephen, there's the acting Stephen, there's the philanthropist Stephen, and they're all different. They all wear different hats. And when I was doing that, it would drive me crazy because I felt like my whole life was different boxes.
Yeah.
And one day I just opened all the boxes and I said, okay, let's all play together. Let's just play it together, guys. And the second I did that, I realized that there is no disconnect. And I think when you remove that disconnect, you realize that everything that you do feeds into the next thing. So if I'm working on music and something in music does well, it also helps me in film because either way, it's growing Steven. It's not growing one part of Steven, it's growing all of Steven. So the second I did that, I'm referring to myself in the third person because crazy. But the second I did that,
it all makes sense with what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like he's insane. And it's perfectly fine because he established it already. But the second I did that, yeah, my whole life just made sense. But I don't think I have to ever integrate myself into my life. It's more like life. The world has to find a way to deal with the fact that I'm in it, and I'm unapologetic about who I am. So yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite aspect of making music?
Favorite aspect of making music? It's the feeling. You can't. It's there's a certain feeling you get when you start recording and you start writing or start playing the piano and you just hit that moment or that thing that you just know this is the beginning of something amazing. Like for example, a couple of years ago, I did a show with an orchestra, and while they were rehearsing, there was a piano, and obviously I see a piano I have to play. So I sat down, and the entire vibe of the I guess the session was so profound because how all these professional musicians playing different instruments and doing their thing, and they're all there to support me, and that feeling just really just elevated me, and I remember hitting the piano and I played keys that I'd never played before, and in that moment, like instantly, a song was born. Like I in my head, the whole song was recorded because I just hit a few keys, just because of that moment. And there's a certain feeling you get when you just know. But yes, that's it. My favorite. That's the feeling. It's you can't replace it with anything else. It's the same thing when I'm on stage. When you're on stage and you just hit that natural vibe, and the crowd is on the same wavelength, if you will, as you. It's such a wonderful feeling, and I think that's where I feel blessed because the same feeling I saw Michael kind of achieve. Maybe I don't have like a million people on the stage yet. It's gonna happen one day. But the same kind of feeling that I saw that he was getting is the same kind of feeling I'm getting. So I feel in that regard I've achieved what young Stephen wanted to achieve, which was to get there and be able to do this and really do it.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite aspect of making movies?
Favorite aspect of making movies? Yes. Again, it's the same thing, same feeling, but it's the feeling for me comes when we're filming and you see the actors playing out the words that you wrote. There is something amazing about that because, like I said, like when I'm writing me, and then the actors come in, and then they take me, if you will, and then it's like a collaboration, right? When it comes to art, so they take what I've given them, but then they massage it in a way that works for them, and you get to see your words transform in a way that even you didn't expect them to go. And that's amazing. That's amazing. When you see people and it comes alive, you're just like, holy smokes. Like, I remember when I was in my house sitting down at night, like writing like a crazy person. And here I am sitting down and it's happening. And all these people are doing things. And it's just, I love that. I love that. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite feelings in making movies is just seeing your work come to life.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do you have a least favorite aspect of both those?
Both those things.
Anything frustrate you about music or about film?
It'll always be because for me, creating is such a passion, and releasing music into the world is something that's so important to me. So any roadblock, anything that stands in the way between the creation and the release, anything in between drives me absolutely crazy. So I think the business side of things can drive me crazy because I don't like politics when it comes to creativity. I don't like you have a song and you know it's going to do something great and you're just waiting for people to negotiate this and negotiate that. And sometimes songs don't come out because of contracts. And that for me is so frustrating because you have, like I said, you'll have, for example, you have two artists come in and they'll collaborate and will create magic. And we feel like this needs to come out. And then it doesn't come out because our respective, whatever, whether it's lawyers or this or that, just can't come to an agreement. And you kind of just feel like, is this really what's the block? Is this the block? This is silly. Um, so that's why this year I decided that I'm just going to put out music. I'm not gonna let the politics or the business stuff that can get in the way. I just want to do it the way I feel it needs to happen. It's almost kind of going back to the grassroots feel of it because I love that. I love that almost organic way of putting out content and putting out music. That's just like I have an idea, it's in my head, and here it is. I want to get there. So that's why my prompt for 2020 is to just release a lot of music, starting with Love in Montreal City. And I'm gonna right after that song comes out, I'm gonna hit people with another and then another and another. And I'm just gonna keep doing that because that's just the way I feel it needs to be done. If it's wrong, then it's wrong. I'll learn from it, but at least I'm learning. Then I'm not waiting for people to come to an agreement. That just drives me crazy.
So, least favorite for movies? Anything frustrating you yet?
I don't think it's frustrating. I think it's the unexpected things that can just kind of drive you crazy. Like I realize because I do not like the producer role when it comes to movies. Even though it's very important. Like I'm still gonna do it. I'm just not a fan of watching everything go wrong, and then you're trying because you're still like you're in creative mode, and at the same time you're like trying to put out fires at the same time, and sometimes I feel when that happens, you're so stuck on the trying to put out fires that you almost don't see the creative process happening anymore. You almost have to then delegate the creative process to someone else so you can deal with putting out fires, and then that for me is like I said, because the beauty for me is watching everything come to life, the creativity come to life, and if I'm stuck trying to figure out how to work the next step because of something went wrong and I'm missing that, then that's just that sucks.
And it probably gets worse the less indie you are.
Yes, the bigger you're gonna get, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there because my goal is I'm the kind of person where I have a goal, and the first day the goal would be to crawl. And then the next day, once I figured out how to even just like move my leg, I'm already moved on to how to run. And the second I've started to like just move my leg, and I'm like, okay, we're flying now. So I'm just like, we're gonna just keep getting bigger. And I can't stop. And my goal is eventually to put something on Netflix, like a series or a movie. I already have ideas in my head. So I know that the more I keep going with my insane goals and aspirations that are gonna get tougher and harder to deal with. But I welcome the challenge. But like yes, the producer stuff is it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah, but it's necessary, unfortunately. Do you ever get block?
Block.
It doesn't sound like it, but do you ever get block?
Yes, I think we all get block, and whenever I get block, that's when I learned that there's no point. Like don't force it, because if you get to a point where you're trying to force the next step, then it's probably the wrong one. And I've learned that if nothing needs to be said, then there's nothing to say. It's the same thing as in life. When people try to make small talk, and they're trying to like, oh, so how's the weather? Like, there's actually no point for this right now. And sometimes silence is just better. It's the same thing with creativity. If you just have nothing to say, maybe your brain is telling you, or your whatever you're gonna call it is telling you, we need a little break right now. Let's just give ourselves some time, and that's it. And so whenever that happens, I have other things in my life I can do. I go to the gym. I love to box. I love to run. I love to dance. I love to. There's other ways to massage your need to do something. So go with the one that is the one that's calling you at that moment. Because if you go satisfy that urge, or whatever you want to call it, then it's gonna inspire the rest of you to do other things. So just I don't have blocks because I don't let myself fixate on the blocks anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you have any like coping strategies for stress? Or when those things are just not going right?
Yeah, coping strategies. Sometimes the stress gets to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the kind of person that's gonna say like, yeah, no, I just zen out. No. Sometimes I get really stressed out, and I think the people closest to me are the ones that get the most phone calls.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't believe it. What? So yeah, so I think having good people in your corner definitely helps. Because I think anyone that tells you that no, all I need is myself is lying to themselves, because you need people. Like no one person is an island. Like we're a accumulation of all our experiences, and usually people make up those experiences. So yeah, no, and I love to, like I said, I love to box. I love to go to the gym. I love to work. I love to just like release energy. So yeah, I think everyone should, if you find something, find a passion. Usually your passion will channel whatever it is that's going on in your life and release it. And for me, like I said, when my mom passed, it was music. Like if I didn't have music, I would have probably lost myself in it. Like, and I was in a very, very dark place. And if you listen to the music around that era, you'd hear it. Like sometimes I go back and I listen to the songs around that time, and I go, holy smokes, like these are really, like really heavy. They're even tough for me today to go back and listen to them. But that's it. That's the beauty of life, is you have outlets. But you can't block yourself from reaching out to them.
Do you have a favorite role? Is there like, if someone said to you tomorrow, Stephen, you can be successful.
Yeah.
But you have to focus on one
thing. People try that.
Would you ever pick one?
It doesn't ever. It doesn't ever doesn't ever bode well for them when they do. Yeah. I've had like I'll tell the story. Okay. I've had someone who said, and they came to the studio, or they listened to my songs, and they said, Stephen, you're really talented. You can do all these different things. And they said, it's both your gift and your curse. It's your curse because you can do so much, so people are gonna have a hard time placing you. And they said, if I were you, I would choose one and fix it on that. And that irked me so much. Just the idea, of having an idea of a song in my head and then going, no, that's the other Stephen. He can't do it because the world cannot deal with the fact that he can do many things. It annoyed me so much. I listened to him, and I said, I'm gonna listen, because I always give people the benefit of doubt, and then I'm gonna sleep on it. And the next morning I woke up the same way, feeling like, nah, that was complete horse crap. So no, I can't even choose. Like I can't. I think music will always be at my core. But I think music music is fed by the fact that I allow myself to also tap into other parts of myself. And if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have the creative flexibility to come back to music and then create different things. Like my mind wouldn't be able to bend in a way to come up with fresh ideas, if I didn't allow myself to do other things. So I can't choose one. I can't. If someone told me to choose one, I'll tell them I'm so sorry. It's like when people say like you can jack of all trades but master of none. I think that's just not. I think that's not true. I think you can be a jack of all trades and master them all. And I think when people say jack of all trades, master of none, they're really just projecting their fears onto you, which is like they weren't able to do it, so therefore you can't do it. And I'm here to say that no, I can and I will. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. We've talked about a lot already.
Yeah.
Do you have any more advice for people starting out?
People starting out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go out and make mistakes and fail, because if you don't, you won't know. You won't be able to find things that work. I'm never afraid to go out and fail. I'm never, ever afraid. I've put out things, whether it's music or film or whatever you're going to call it. I've done things and I go back and I go like, well, that didn't really work out for me, but I still did it. It's like but you don't know unless you try, right? And most of the time, most of the things that I achieved, they happen because I wasn't afraid to just reach out and ask someone. Like if I want to collaborate with someone, people will say like, well, that person's above you right now, you can't reach out to them, it's not going to work. I still reach out, and if they don't respond, at least I reached out. And then sometimes they respond, but at least I tried. And that's the whole point in life, is you need to try. And I think there's so much negativity around the word failure, because it almost seems like it's such a final thing. Like if you fail, that's the end of it. But failure is such an intrinsic part of the process. It's part of a feedback system. And if you fail, you go, okay, why did that fail? And let's go back again and let's try and keep getting better. The problem happens when you fail and you go back and do the exact same thing. that's the definition of madness, is doing the same thing expecting the outcome to change. But no, like if you make a mistake, if you fail, look at why it failed, and then reassess yourself and come back stronger. That's my advice, is to just go out there and try. And also don't be afraid to look at yourself and see what needs to change. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So your song comes out when?
It comes out March 20th, 2020. I actually thought that was funny, Kay. So I haven't put this out, but I thought the date March 2020 was funny. March being the third month. So I saw 3 and I saw 20 and I saw, okay, 3 20s. And then there's 20, 20, 20. I was like, that's kind of cool and kind of funny. That's the geek in me that chose that date particularly. For everyone else, it's just like, it's March 20. But for me, it's like, there's a synchronicity of numbers there, and that's the geek in me that loves math. I'm a huge math person, by the way. Like,
if it had been February 2020, it would have been like 0220.
I know. It was too late. It was too late. I did think about that, but by the time everything was ready, I had passed that date. And I said, okay, what's the next hilarious mixture of numbers? Like, okay, 0320. That's just the way my brain works. Also, if you go back to my older albums, even the way I always choose dates based on some sort of random madness that cracks me up. Yeah, that's it.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Anything else coming up?
Yes, there's a whole lot. So Love in Montreal City comes out March 20, 2020. Then I have a song with UNICEF Canada that we're going to be putting out. I think it comes out actually 2 weeks after. I haven't really talked about it on social media because I don't want to bombard them with much information yet. But it's going to come out, and that song is a song that actually I've been trying to work with them for at least more than a year. The song was done, and I had reached out to them, and I wanted to do something where we gave back to the community. I gave back to the world in general, and I had already done something with UNICEF Canada before, and so I kind of planted a seed, and they kept poking at them until they were like, okay, let's let the seed blossom already. So we came to an agreement. So the song's gonna come out, and all the proceeds are gonna go towards one of their or all of their initiatives. So I'm really excited about that. That's gonna come out at the end of March as well. And then beyond that, I just have a lot of music that is just kind of like they're planned. They're ready to just come out right after. And then in terms of movies and films, there's gonna be a few things coming out in series I can't really talk about yet. I am working on, in terms of what I'm working on, film wise, I'm working on a third movie for myself. Not for myself, but I want to put out. And it's a sci-fi story. But again, because I like writing things that have an human element to it. So even though it's based in there's a sci-fi premise, the main point of it is really this human story. And that's something that in the first 2 movies that we did, I was kind of still figuring out like how I wanted to write. Now that I've figured that part out, I'm now really zeroing in on what I'm trying to say, which is tell human stories, but have them in insanely giant scenarios, whether it's in space or whatever the case is. Just want to tell human stories.
The one you shot last year, where is that at right now?
So that one, so we're in post production. We filmed out. Yeah, and like I said, it's set in Quebec. That was it's a horror movie, and I don't know, synchronicity again. This wasn't my doing. We ended up filming it on Halloween. That was, I don't know how that happened, but it happened. But it definitely added to the eeriness of the movie. But yeah, that one is a pretty dark story. I don't even know where that one came from. I do. I grew up watching a lot of horror because my mom again loved horror, but I'm not a fan of gore. Like I don't like gore. Like I won't watch things like Saw and all that stuff. I don't like that stuff. But I love kind of supernatural stories that are kind of unexplained or unexplainable. And I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do something where, when it comes to horror, I'm gonna talk a little too much about this, but like when it comes to like scary movies, you lose me when you try to explain what's happening. The second the main characters kind of figure out like, oh, this is happening because this blah blah blah, I'm like, you lost me, I don't care anymore. It's when it's something that is so unexplainable that the people that it's happening to don't even know why or how, and by the time it happens to them, it's too late. I wanted to kind of tell that kind of story because for me, if there was going to be some sort of supernatural phenomena that happens to people, they're all going to be in the dark as to why it's happening, and that's what I wanted to tell.
That's cool.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait for it to come out myself. Cannot wait.
So how can people find out more about you and your work? Because I really think more people should know about you.
Thank you. Well, I'm super active on Instagram. I think if you follow me on Instagram, you're gonna know like everything about me, maybe even too much. So yeah, I think that's it. Really, it's just kind of follow me on Instagram, and everything else kind of trickle from there because I just post everything there. So
well, you have a website, right?
Yes. voicemusic.com, voicemusic.com. But I think everyone should have a website. But I think in today's world, it's really about choosing the correct social media platform and kind of running with that. And for me, it's Instagram. So some people it's going to be YouTube. Some people it's going to be even TikTok, whatever. I think that's another piece of advice. I think is choose your platform and really run with it.
Yeah.
Like you can have multiple. But the one that really speaks with you or speaks to you, really run with that one because if you enjoy doing it, it'll show. And I think that's what when people will see that and they'll connect with it more. If you try and force content, it's always obvious, and you're gonna push people away. So yeah, choose your platform and have fun with it. And for me, it's Instagram. I have fun with it. I love talking. I love doing stories. So yeah. Instagram, and I don't know if it's gonna be in the description.
We'll put some links.
It's gonna be
the
the links.
Don't worry about that.
It's gonna be there somewhere.
So
click on it and then go hit that follow button and stuff, and also subscribe to her channel. Make sure you're subscribing. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephen.
No, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been Everyday Expertise. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to share this video with friends and colleagues who may also enjoy this topic. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below or check the description for our social media. See you next time.